This is an exclusive presentation of high school sports on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. This is the High School Coaches Show. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Week 5 edition of the High School Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny. He is John Graham producing. We're here till 7 o'clock talking high school football as we reach the unofficial midway point of the season. Of course, everybody qualifies for the playoffs in the state of Indiana, so every team is guaranteed at least 10 games. Come tomorrow night, every team will have played 5 games, at least most teams not affected by COVID. Extenuating circumstances, of course, this year. And we've seen local teams affected by the COVID quarantine and infections. And another one just out today, not locally, but a state power Brebeuf Jesuit will be sidelined for 2 weeks due to quarantine. So Brebeuf will not play their next 2 football games. We have plenty of local games coming up tomorrow night. A lot of ramifications in the Northeast 8. A huge showdown Saturday night in the SAC. And some stuff still to figure out in the ACAC and Northeast Corner Conference as well. And we're going to start it off as we do each and every week here on the High School Football Coaches Show with Brice Vance of KPC News, who joins us right now. Brice, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Justin?
Living the dream. You know, we got to hang out in person last Friday night out in Kendallville. It was a not great evening for football and a pretty darn good football game we witnessed. A 30-24 win for Penn over East Noble. Let's talk about that one first, Brice. What did you see out of East Noble? Did it go as expected? Did it not go as expected in your mind? What did you see? What did you take out of it?
I don't know. It felt like it went back and forth in my mind on whether, East Noble was going to put up a good fight or not. And we found out, just before the game that they were going to be without their starting quarterback, Dalton Stinson. So that meant Cole Schupak, who hasn't started a game but has been the backup quarterback for 2 years now, was going to be starting. And before the game, you and I were chatting. I just did not have a good feeling that East Noble was going to be able to compete, with that last minute change. And they really did. I mean, they hung on defensively. I mean, they only allowed just a handful of big plays to Penn. Other than that, they really held them in check on the defensive side. And offensively, they got off to a good first drive, and then they really struggled there for the longest time, 5 straight 3-and-outs and punts. And it was, I think, a good overall, measuring stick for this East Noble program going forward and how they're able to compete against some of the powers in the state.
And Brice, when we talked to Coach Luke Amstutz after the game, a wide range of emotions immediately after the football game. But, once he kind of calmed down a little bit and looked at big picture, he said, look, we're going to win a game this season because of what happened against Penn, because of the 4 quarters they went through. And, Brice, that could come as soon as tomorrow night, a big game at Leo.
Exactly. I mean, they fought and clawed to the end. They showed that they have the capability of staying in games, and even when they're down a couple of scores in games, that they're not out of it. And this team has showed that in the past under Luke Amstutz. I mean, they were down a couple of scores to Hobart last year in the semi-state game. They were down at halftime to Huntington North last year and came back and won. This team has, under Luke Amstutz, has always shown the capability of never counting them out until the final buzzer has gone off. And against Leo this week, they're going to face a real difficult challenge.
Yeah, they absolutely are a big challenge. The Leo Lions coming up tomorrow. And let's break down that game a little bit more, Brice. We saw Leo take on a very good Mooresville team that they took a loss in earlier this season. You could say similar to taking on a Penn on the East Noble side. So both teams have been tested. Both teams lost against very good programs, and it's probably helped them going forward. But when you look at this matchup and how you break it down, what's it going to come down to?
I think it's going to be, can East Noble slow down Leo's running game, and can East Noble get their running game going and running up to full speed? We saw last week in the matchup against New Haven, Leo run like a T formation with 3 running backs lined up all next to each other, and then there a whole bunch of misdirection after the snap to Jackson Barber, and he handed off to a myriad of running backs, and it's just going to be interesting. Can this East Noble defense slow down that rushing attack? And they've slowed down Leo the last couple of times, both matchups last year when they met in the regular season and in the sectional championship game. They were able to slow them down and really essentially shut them out in the sectional championship game offensively. Their lone touchdown came off of a punt return, and they showed that they're capable of doing that last week against New Haven. So I think, can East Noble slow down the rushing attack of Leo enough and force them into throwing situations where Jackson Barber hasn't had to throw very much this season? He's only had pass attempts, I think, around 20. So can East Noble force them into some third and longs and force them to throw the ball, which they may not be ultimately too comfortable with going into Friday night?
He is Brice Vance of KPC News joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And let's stick with the Northeast 8. Another, less hyped, but I think a very interesting matchup. New Haven at Norwell. New Haven trying to come back from the loss last week at 35-8 defeat in disappointing fashion to Leo. Yeah. Norwell, that defense, we talk so much about Leo's defense, and for good reason, but Norwell has limited teams to just 24 points through 4 weeks. Brice, that's the best in the conference. So what to say about the Knights as they try to open some eyes tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think what I told you when we looked ahead to that New Haven-Leo game last week, that I thought Leo had the best chance of winning because they had the better defense. And I think very similar with this game against New Haven and Norwell tomorrow night. I think the Knights may not have as much firepower, even though I do like Eli Riley a lot, Max Ringer as a running back as well. I think they have just enough, but they need to show that they're capable of scoring some points, because we know New Haven can put up some points in a hurry, but against the defense of Leo last week, they really struggled to keep the ball. They had 3 turnovers, I believe, even though they outgained Leo by about 100 yards. They still lost the turnover battle, and that proved to be really huge in that game. So if New Haven can keep possession of the ball and capitalize on some big plays from guys like Jakar Williams, I think they'll be fine. But I think New Haven, I think Norwell, has a really good chance to. I don't even know if I would call it an upset. I think these teams are really evenly matched.
Brice, elsewhere, DeKalb takes the field after a 3-week break due to COVID. They will host undefeated Columbia City. This game last year was that turning point for Columbia City after starting out 4-0, lost 5 of their last 6. This was their first loss a year ago. So when you look at a DeKalb team that, we only saw them once play against what we think is a very good Angola team, what should we expect tomorrow night? Columbia City looks better than a year ago, but we're still kind of trying to figure out the DeKalb Barons as well.
Yeah, if for me and DeKalb, I think they just need to, what I just mentioned with New Haven, is keep possession of the ball and not turn it over. In the first game against Angola, they turned it over 6 times, and hopefully in the last couple of weeks, DeKalb has worked on ball security here, even though they've been able to practice now. I believe they started practice up last week, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And ball security, I'm imagine, was huge with Seth Wilcox, and it's just going to be, are we going to see any rust from this team? Because they, unlike Angola, have been off for 3 weeks, whereas Angola was only off for a couple of weeks, and they're going up against a really good team. Luckily, Angola didn't go up against a formidable opponent in West Noble. They, are really struggling this year. The Chargers are, so. It's going to be a huge challenge. I don't know if DeKalb is up for it in their return. They're going to be, really excited to be back on the field on a Friday night. But I'm just not sure if they have enough to keep pace with Columbia City this time around.
All right, Brice, let's look at the Northeast Corner Conference heading into Week 5. I'm going to hit you with it straight up. Is Fairfield at 3-0 for real, yes or no?
Ooh, I think so. You can look at their schedule, and they really haven't faced anybody that's going to be comparable later on in the season. They've beaten Fremont, Central Noble, and Osceola Grace. But I think if they can come out and just dominate this week, which I think they're capable of, if they can put up a similar score that Angola did against West Noble last week, then I think that they can show that they are a well-worthy opponent for Angola when they meet later on this season. So, I like, a lot of their players. Corey Lance at quarterback is very solid, a good runner. They have other guys, too. Quentin Kitson is a very good runner as well. They have a couple of other guys that have seen some significant carries and broken off some big runs. So if they're able to, put up, like I said, a similar score against West Noble that Angola was last week, then I would say that they're more than likely for real.
Yeah, that Fairfield team averaging over 300 yards rushing per game. And, Brice, they will get Angola next week at Angola in what could be a battle of undefeated teams. Who knows? Speaking of Angola, they go to Lakeland this week. They're 2-0, had to sit out a couple weeks due to COVID quarantine. But I wanted to ask you, Brice, about Tucker Hasselman. He was a kid that came in last year, first-year quarterback in terms of a starter at the varsity level, struggled at times, but has really, really looked exceptionally comfortable this season. Scored 4 touchdowns last week in Angola's victory over West Noble. When you look at Angola and that offense, you're seeing Tucker Hasselman with a firm grasp of that offense, similar to what we saw a couple years ago when Angola was riding high in the NECC.
Yeah, I think it's just, another year in Andy Thomas' system. I think it's just him, like you said, getting comfortable, knowing the offense and knowing what he is capable of, because he's definitely a capable quarterback and is able to do multiple different things. He's able to throw the ball. He may not show off the biggest arm, but he's definitely showing that he's a capable passer, and he's definitely big enough to run the ball and be kind of a power back there for Angola. So he's definitely shown capabilities of what he can do at the quarterback spot, and I like him as a quarterback. I would be happy to have him on my team if I had one, for sure.
All right, Brice, can we make it 2 for 2? Where will you be tomorrow? Will we be in the same place? I imagine I'll see you at Leo.
I will be there, sir. All
right, sir. We had a blast last week, and we'll make it another blast at Leo tomorrow. East Noble and Leo. Thanks for joining us, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, looking forward to it.
That was Brice Vance of KPC News joining us, as he does each and every week here on the High School Football Coaches Show, kicking off the hour, breaking down the Northeast 8, breaking down the Northeast Corner Conference. And like we said, a big one coming up tomorrow in the Northeast 8. East Noble and Leo very well could go a long way towards to deciding the conference championship, and will be a very, very hotly contested game tomorrow night at Leo. We're going to take a break. We have a full lineup of coaches from now till 7 o'clock. Tim Mannigel, Concordia Lutheran, Brett Fox, Columbia City, Jared Sauder of Leo, all set to join us in the next 45 or so minutes. I am Justin Kenny. You're listening to the Week 5 edition of the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One with a Thursday night football preview. Coming up, it's AFC North Division action with Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. The number 1 overall draft pick, Joe Burrow, and the Bengals lost a close one in their opener to the Chargers. Cleveland also dropped their opener to the Ravens in the first game for new Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski.
Yes, this game is a game of inches. That's why we love it, because it's hard to say it was a close game, because it wasn't. But it's our job to make sure that we look at those little things, those plays of inches, and make sure we find a way to make them next time we're presented with them.
Dan Miller and Tony Baselli will have the call from Cleveland when the Bengals meet the Browns on Thursday Night Football.
Remember to listen to Westwood One's coverage of the NFL all season long on ESPN Radio 1380 and 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne Sports Station.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started. Plus, 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, you can get a 5-quart jug of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for $26.99. An incredible oil for an unbeatable price from the best car people around. Making this deal the best of the best of the best of the best of the best deals around. That's Mobil 1, only $26.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
General states pricing. Sales prices not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer ends 9/30/20.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Smoothbrook, Illinois.
O'Reilly.
Superstart batteries exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts are designed to meet the electrical demands of today's vehicles. Get dependable power and performance from a Superstart battery for your car, truck, motorcycle, lawnmower, boat, and more. Our professional parts people can help you find just what you need. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Looking for a beautiful gift or something stylish for yourself, nothing matches the elegance of a piece from Peter Franklin Jewelers. Now you can get a great deal on Peter Franklin with half-off certificates available at MyDealsFortWayne.com. Peter Franklin carries engagement and wedding rings, necklaces and bracelets, and can even create custom pieces just for you. Go to MyDealsFortWayne.com and grab your certificates to Peter Franklin Jewelers for 50% off. That's MyDealsFortWayne.com.
Summer's heat brings sizzling hot deals from Masters Heating and Cooling. Save $500 on a complete carrier system installed. Turn to the experts and save $500 now for a limited time on a complete heating and air conditioning system from Masters Heating and Cooling. Plus 0% financing for qualified buyers. Masters Heating and Cooling. Online at mastersheatcool.com.
We are Masters.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Week 5 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny. He is John Graham, here till 7 o'clock talking local high school football. And thank you to Brice Vance before the break of KPC News joining us. We broke down some of the bigger games coming up in the NE8 and the NECC this week. And, you know, through 4 weeks, we feel like we have a solid idea of what a team is, but this year has been a little different. You look at Angola that's missed some weeks, you have DeKalb that's missed some weeks, and then you have Concordia, who has shut out 2 teams and then has been shut out by 2 teams, and it was affected by quarantine. So what is the real Concordia Cadets? Well, we're kind of not sure through 4 weeks of the season. The man that we're going to bring on right now is going to break it all down for us, head coach of the Cadets, Tim Mannigel. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you, Justin? Good.
And let's ask you, what kind of team do you feel you have through 4 weeks?
I mean, I think you said it pretty well. It's tough to say. COVID has caused all of us to wonder at times what kind of team we have. We wonder at times what kind of team we're going to face because we don't know what situation the other teams are in terms of close contact kids or even kids with COVID. So personnel often changes, sometimes dramatically from week to week. I think we have a team that has a pretty good defense, and we've played really in all 4 games, even the game against Snyder where we gave up 27. I think we wore down a little bit at the end, both physically and mentally in that game. the offense really wasn't getting much done in that game. It becomes difficult to play defense when you're on the field the whole night. And, it's just difficult.
Yeah.
But we really played pretty well defensively through 4 games. And again, as you know, this conference is no joke. So to play well against some of the offenses we face is encouraging. So I'd say that I'm pretty confident in the I guess assumption that we have a pretty good defense. Offensively, we had some guys out in weeks 2 and 3, and we like to think here that next man is up, and they played hard, but it's not quite the same as having your starters out there. And we struggled fairly big time. So they're back, and we played better on Friday night against Bishop Luers. Certainly our most complete game on both sides of the ball. So I don't know. I mean, we're 2 and 2, and each day is a new one, and you just never know if you're going to get a text message that morning where a kid is testing or he's a close contact, and so you just kind of hold your breath and move forward and hope for the best. So we think we can be pretty good, Justin. I guess that's a long way of getting to your question answer. We think we can be pretty good, but we hang by a thread.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams are in that position right now.
For sure. We saw a team like Homestead impacted in week 1, missing guys. And that's a program that, dresses, 70, 75. But then you get down in some of the, 3A, 2A, 1A. How big of an impact is it? Yeah, we could say Concordia is only missing 5 players. But when a lot of those guys go both ways, you don't have the depth that some of the bigger programs have, it can affect you a lot more than a 6A, 5A school.
No, there's no question. It's really the same conversation you would have regarding injuries. No team can really afford them, but we can probably afford them less. And so if you get hit with the right kids at the wrong position, you are really in trouble. So, and we had that a little bit in weeks 2 and 3. We did get through it. And again, let me stress, all was not lost. We had chances, particularly in week 2, against Homestead, to make plays that might have even produced a victory for us, and we just didn't do it. And that you could say, well, you're missing, these 3 key players. Sure, we were. But at the same time, we've got kids we'd like to think can step up and make those plays. It was week 2, it was early, and they were thrust into positions they didn't think they'd have to play in that early in the season. So, again, not to make huge excuses, it obviously was impactful, but we had a chance, particularly in week 2. I mean, Snyder took it to us pretty good in week 3. But week 2, we had a chance. So the next guy's just got to come up and play and do the best he can. But there is no doubt that if we get hit, as we did in weeks 2 and 3, it's going to really have an impact on us at Concordia for sure.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Eli Maddox, the sophomore thrust into the starting quarterback position week 2 and week 3, and you mentioned kids that probably didn't think they'd be thrust into a situation, yet here he is starting against Homestead, arguably has maybe the best defense in the SAC, and I'd throw your team in that conversation as well. But a kid that was drinking from a fire hose in all aspects and did his best, and could potentially be the future of the position for the cadets. And how did he perform for you in terms of, what the expectations were as opposed to, compared to what he had to go against?
One of the first things I look at with quarterbacks is their overall demeanor. And so a kid who's going into an unexpected start, although we did have the week to prepare him, we found out on Monday of that week that Brandon wasn't going to play on Friday. So he had the week to prepare. But if you look at his demeanor, he was really calm. Was not at all rattled. All of that is very encouraging to me. It's also important to note here that our starting center was out those 2 weeks as well. So not only was Eli playing for the first time as a starter in a varsity contest, but he's playing now with a kid that we had to move from tackle and then move another kid into the starting lineup. And, I mean, it was just it's kind of messy when all of that happens. And it was tough. I thought Eli played well, and I think the future is bright for Eli. I think he made some really good throws, and we didn't maybe help him as much as we could have that night. He wasn't perfect, and he'll tell you that, and he learned a lot from it, and he learned a lot the next week against Snyder, and he wasn't perfect there either. But no one really expected him to be, and I think he handled things well. I think it's important here to note that Eli Maddox was not the reason we weren't winning games. He did a fine job, and we just needed other kids to step up around him, and we just weren't able to do that. When you miss 3 out of 11 starters, it becomes more difficult.
Coach Tim Mannigel, Concordia Cadets, joining us here on the High School Football Coaches Show. And, Coach, you get Brandon Davis back last week against Bishop Luers. And when we talk about MVPs, most valuable players, I think you have to put Brandon Davis in that conversation in terms of how important he is to this offense. What is he able to do that really allows this offense to really dominate a team? Dominate a defense the way you have against South and yet last week Luers?
He can command the offense, as we might expect from a senior quarterback. He can command the offense. So, we'll send the play in, but he can get us into the right play better than he has at any point in his career. And then once we're in that right play, if the play breaks down, Brandon really has the ability as something of a dual threat to keep the play alive with his feet. And you love that in the quarterback. It makes you nervous sometimes when he's scrambling, and you'd rather he just duck out of bounds at times, but he's a competitor and he wants more yards. So he's a dynamic person back there. He can throw the ball real well. He can still be better with his reads, and we talk to him in terms of finding the right guy on this route or that route, and he's got a ways to go. He isn't perfect, and he'll tell you that. But he's dynamic, and he provides for the offense that extra boost. And I think there's a comfort level then there, too, with the rest of the guys when the kid that you've got who started last year and he's back this year, he's back in the huddle. He is one of our captains, so he does provide that kind of leadership. It's just kind of a comfort thing, too. There's a lot that he provides for us.
Coach, looking defensively, and you got a lot of seniors that are stepping up for you. Cam Vanderbosch has been an absolute ball hawk at the back end of that defense, and Cooper Harris has been solid. Sam Hudson, we know about him. Even Isaiah Rusher, too, as a senior. But I want to talk about Isaiah's younger brother, James, a sophomore, who has really stood out to me in watching video on you guys. A really good kid on the field, really has a good sense of the game, and just a sophomore for you.
Yeah, and he loves the game of football for sure. Really excited about playing. We knew he was going to be a special player already last year. He is blessed because he's playing with a lot of good seniors that often receive a lot of the offense's focus, and so James is freed up at times. He'll get to the ball, as will all of our guys on defense. I mean, it's been very encouraging to see them all really fly to the football, play fast. We've been encouraging that, try to keep it as simple as possible so that they can get to where they need to be. And your terminology, ball hawking, is exactly what they've done through 4 games. But, yeah, James is special. He's going to be a good player for us for the next several years. He really, I think that love for the game shines through in the way he plays. He wants to be a good player. He wants to be a good football player. That's important. And great kid, great attitude. We're looking forward to seeing him finish this year, and then obviously the next 2 years should be exciting for him as well.
All right, Coach, you get a home game tomorrow against Northrop. I feel like, maybe I'm a simpleton, but I say, stop the run is key tomorrow night. So am I right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, well, you're right, but how easy is that? No one's really stopped him. This kid from Northrop is really good. We saw the Homestead game, their first game of the year, and he really shone on film there, and we've seen them obviously several times since then. Yeah, you can say stop the run, but I mean, we better get to the ball here, and we better have more than one guy to the ball because he's not going to get tackled in any sort of solo manner. So, and they find ways to get him the ball. They're creative that way. I think that they provide for our defense. If we think we're a good defense, we'll get tested in that thinking tomorrow night because they provide a pretty stern challenge. And it all starts with the running back. I think they've got other ways to beat you, too. One of the things I've always noticed about Northrop is, man, when they take the field, they just appear to be so athletic, and it's kind of frightening, frankly, when we're warming up and you look across the field and there they are doing what they do. And so they've got a lot of ways they can hurt you. And I know Jason does a nice job with them, and so it's a fun challenge. We enjoy playing them, but we're going to need to be certainly at the top of our game tomorrow night.
Coach, it was a limited crowd last week, but how good did it feel at the redesign? Some fans in the seats at Zollner.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for the kids. I know they like to play in front of a crowd. It's great for the parents. We did our senior night last week, so it was nice to have parents there, and they were able to bring a few extras, and we were able to get 250 on both sides. At Zollner, each side is considered a stadium, so Bishop Luers brought a decent amount of people as well. It's just good. I'd like to open it up even more, but I understand the situation we're in. It's much better than playing in front of an empty crowd, I can tell you that, because boy, you can hear everything, and it's just eerie. It's an I Am Legend feel, and who needs that, Justin? Am I right?
Yeah, Coach. And starting tomorrow, will there be any changes to who can come in?
No.
Okay.
Not starting tomorrow.
So
no.
just parents and guardians still in week 5.
Yeah. I think that. More or less that is the case. Every school is dealing with that slightly differently. For example, here we're really giving 4 tickets per kid, and if they happen to give it to a high school student, that high school student is in. We're not making a huge deal about that, but ultimately it comes down to mainly it's just immediate families getting into the stadium. And then I know so we're blessed at Zollner. We've got a lot of room. Other schools don't have as much room, particularly on the visitor side, so seating is even more limited there. And we understand that, and it is what it is, and we've got to take care of people to stop the spread and all the rest. So we'll do what we have to do, but, man, I'd like to get more people in for sure.
All right, Coach. Hey, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot for joining us. Good luck tomorrow against the Bruins.
You bet, Justin. Always good to talk to you. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Likewise. That was Coach Tim Mannigel, Concordia Lutheran Cadets. He is the football coach. He is also the athletic director at Concordia. So he knows the intricate workings of all things COVID and dealing with fans, no fans, some fans, all fans, protocols. So he has it all on his plate as the athletic director and football coach of the Cadets. We're going to take a break, come back. We'll talk Northeast 8 football with Brett Fox of the Columbia City Eagles when we come back. It's the Week 5 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Here's the 1380 The Fan U.S. Open update being powered by Peter Franklin Jewelers.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 120th U.S. Open Golf Championship. First round winding down at Winged Foot. No one has caught Justin Thomas yet. Let's check the leaderboard, sponsored by Geico. Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car, motorcycle, and RV policies. Visit geico.com for more. Justin Thomas was almost flawless on his way to a 565 as part of the morning wave. It's JT's lowest score in the first round in a major. And remember, he won the PGA 3 years ago. Patrick Reed, Thomas Peters, Matthew Wolff, all 4 under, 1 back. Wolff, the one player who could join Thomas at -5. He is playing hole number 17 right now. Rory McIlroy and Lee Westwood in the clubhouse at 3 under. Xander Schauffele was at 3 under, but he drops to 2 after a bogey. Everyone's picked to win coming in. Dustin Johnson, 3 over as he plays 18. He's 8 shots back. I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
Did you know Geico's now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies? That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? Your teenager to help around the house?
Okay, Mom. I emptied the dishwasher, vacuumed the basement, and folded the sheets out of the dryer.
Wait, what?
Oh, and next, I'm going to clean Mitten's litter box.
Are we in some kind of prank show or something? That's a camera, isn't it?
There's never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th. Limitations apply. Visit geico.com for details.
Today, everyone is expecting you to maintain a new level of clean, from customers and employees to students and staff. Cintas has the essential products and services to help you carry out cleaning protocols effectively. We'll keep you well stocked with cleaning supplies, professionally laundered uniforms, and other essentials like face masks, hand sanitizer, and thermometers. Give everyone the confidence they need to keep coming back. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
You're planning on remodeling your bathroom. You want something personal and unique, and you want only the best quality products, which is why you're planning on ordering your shower door from the custom craftsmen of City Glass. But why stop there? Why not have the same professionals custom cut the just right mirror for your bathroom as well? There's no need to settle for anything off the shelf when the City Glass craftsmen can cut and design the perfect mirror for your bathroom. Don't worry about special sizing. They can custom size your mirror just as they would your shower door. And what about a unique look? Not a problem. For example, they can frame your mirror or even cut it so that your vanity lights can fit in the mirror rather than having to mount a separate fixture above the mirror. Maybe you don't need a new mirror at all and can just have an existing one recut or refurbished. Yeah, they can do that too. So do this for yourself. When you're ready to choose a shower door from City Glass, choose a mirror as well. City Glass, quality glass products, a cut above the rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, let there be Notre Dame football. And that means the 24th season of Fighting Irish Preview. And it's in a new time slot. Saturday mornings at 8:30 a.m. right before Talking Sports with Jim Shovel. And join me, Phil Houck, and America's foremost authority on Notre Dame football, Tim Priester, for a half hour of essential Fighting Irish info. Saturday mornings at 8:30, tune in to Fighting Irish Preview on 1380 The Fan.
This radio spot could be yours. Ever thought about putting your business on 1380 The Fan? You can, and you'll reach listeners just like you. Our audience is made up of highly educated and affluent listeners who love sports. One email today, and you can see how 1380 The Fan could be a fit for your business. Email the fan 1380 at federatedmedia.com to see how you can become a part of a winning team. Email the fan 1380 at federatedmedia.com to set up your assessment of how 1380 The Fan can help your business win.
Jonesboro, Indiana, September 24th through the 27th for the Jonesboro River Rally. Amazing stunt bike riders, a cool bike show, fun field events, a cool light show, and rockin' live bands all weekend long. Details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the Week 5 edition of the High School Football Coaches Show, here till 7 o'clock, talking area high school football. Coming up tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, we just spoke to Tim Mannigel of the Concordia Cadets, and that's exactly where Brett Rump and Shannon Griffith will be tomorrow night. A Carroll and Northrop game, or excuse me, Concordia and Northrop. I do believe that's the game. Brett will surely text me if I'm wrong, but I think it's either out at Zollner tomorrow night, hopefully, maybe. We also have a game coming up on Saturday night, the big one, Bishop DeWanger and Carroll. Actually, Homestead-Snyder is I just remembered, Homestead-Snyder is the game of the week, John, tomorrow evening. So the Panthers and the Spartans. And you were a Homestead Spartan, weren't you?
I was.
Yes. How about that? Graduating class was what year?
2005.
Okay, way back in 2005, and you had Chad Zolman in class, head coach.
I did.
Spartan.
Yes. I had him for geometry.
Very nice. And I'm sure you got an A in that class?
Honestly, I don't think I got an A, but I think at least a B.
Okay, well,
So.
that's fine. That's much better than I would get in a geometry class for sure. But yeah, the game of the week coming up tomorrow night right here on 1380 The Fan. Homestead and Snyder from Spuller Stadium, 7 o'clock kickoff. You know, and when you look at the Northeast 8 and the amount of powerful teams we see in there, and 6 teams have 1 or 0 losses in that conference. Of course, DeKalb just has played just once at 0-1, but we'll throw them in there. There's only one team that has 0 losses, undefeated heading into Week 5. It's the Columbia City Eagles, and their head coach is Brett Fox. Joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Hey, we're doing well. I want to preface it by asking, is Greg Bolt still upset with me?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is, that we're just, making sure that he's upset with you. You know what I mean? Like, we're constantly playing some stuff for him just to motivate him and that. I don't think the kid knows how to be truly upset with you, but we're trying to teach him. It's one of those things as a coach that, you try to prepare these guys for life, I guess, is what we're trying to get at. And being upset with Justin Kinney would be one of those things that would try to prepare him for life, right?
Yeah, silence the haters, right? Especially if it's Justin Kinney. So we're talking about Greg Bolt, the starting quarterback for the Columbia City Eagles. And when we talk top quarterbacks in the area, I tend to leave Greg Bolt out of the conversation. And so I'll continue to do that as long as it helps you, my friend.
That's right. If it's helping us motivate him, I appreciate it. And, it's something that that kid, he doesn't need a lot to motivate him. He's always, on it and just a great kid and intense. But anything that we can use to help fuel that fire, we're going to take advantage of.
And Coach, he's a 3-year starter for you, still just a junior. He's thrown 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions through the first 4 weeks. He's also rushed for 6 touchdowns, almost 400 yards rushing. Is this what you envisioned as a freshman when he was there and said, okay, we're going to throw this kid into the fire and he's going to continually get better, and by the time he's a junior and a senior, he's truly going to have a grasp of being a true dual threat type quarterback and a leader for you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of, what we were envisioning. At the time, you're sitting there and you're saying, hey, like Greg as a freshman, I felt like gave us the best opportunity to win. And, now we're benefiting from it and we're seeing some of those things. And, as, talking to my wife last night about it and just saying, hey, this kid understands what we're doing. Last year, I felt like he was coming off the sideline and he would know after he made a mistake, hey, this was a mistake, or hey, I saw this guy open. And now he's seen it beforehand and understanding those things. And he's not necessarily coming to the sideline and saying, hey, we've missed this guy or missed that guy. It's he's been on it. And so, it's been nice to see that.
And Coach, you've looked at Greg and has a wealth of receivers to look at too. We talked so much about TJ Bedwell, but Garrett Geiger, a kid that had 4 catches all of last year, leads the team in receiving yards and touchdowns, has 7 receptions for touchdowns already this season. This is a kid that when we talked at preseason, we weren't talking a lot about Garrett Geiger.
Right. Yeah. Garrett Geiger is, just a great kid. I mean, he works. He does the things that he's supposed to do, and that's the thing. He's waited his time to kind of be in that situation, and it's within our offense. He's feeding off of what those other guys are doing, and so when you are concentrating on TJ Bedwell, and some of those guys, then you're seeing Garrett be wide open. There was one play in particular Friday night where all 4 linebackers ran with TJ Bedwell, leaving Garrett wide open. And so to be able to have that and to understand that, it's just, that's where it is. And that's where Garrett is making a great job and taking advantage of the situations that are given to him.
Coach, I wanted to ask about a particular player on your defense, senior Trayton Lamont, and the way he is able to affect the game in multiple ways defensively. He's one of your top guys in tackles for loss. He has a couple interceptions as well. And looking at video and seeing some of the plays that he's been involved in, he's moving around all over the field. Having the versatility with a guy like Lamont has to be a real luxury for you.
Yeah, he is all over the field, and he's able to go against teams that are running teams and teams that are passing teams and affect that. And, like you said, last week having 2 interceptions for us and on the season he has 10 tackles for loss for us. So Trayton is playing unbelievable, but it's one of those other guys. He's also a 3-year starter. And so these guys have been playing for a long time together and have a plethora of experience to be able to handle it.
Coach, you started off 4-0 last year, same spot you're in right now. The DeKalb game, week 5, was a loss last year, and you guys ended up finishing with 5 losses in your final 6 games. The schedule is absolutely brutal from here on out. You have arguably one of the 4 best teams in the Northeast 8, not including yourself, over the final 5 games. And, we don't know a lot about DeKalb playing just 1 game. So what's it going to come down to avoid a second half of the season like you had last year?
I think a lot of it comes down to just us concentrating on ourselves, making sure that we're prepared, making sure that we are working on our fundamentals and continuing to grow as a team, not being satisfied with where we are, but instead using those times and practices to invest, to continue to get better and to learn from our mistakes. A mistake's not a mistake if you learn something from it. Instead, it's a learning opportunity, and we're hoping that can turn into a learning opportunity for us.
All right, Coach, you look at tomorrow's game, and you go on the road, but you've also had a couple home games as well with fans in the stands. The new digs, the new stadium, how's it felt playing at the brand new stadium?
it's a place to be watched, and to come out and watch a game, and it's a beautiful stadium, and it's something that is something that our community can be proud of. All the way from just the synthetic turf that we have to the locker rooms to the whole field that we have out here on this campus with our middle school and one of our elementaries out here. You truly get and just talking to one of my friends who coaches, tennis at Leo tonight, and they're over here and they're like, man, like this is kind of a college campus feel to it, and it does. It kind of has that feel to it. So, I encourage anybody that hasn't had an opportunity to come over here to Whitley County and see what we have to offer to check it out. And obviously it's beautiful. I mean, there's nothing like it around us. There's nothing that compares to it. You can be up at Carroll and you can be, building a new stadium, but it still doesn't touch what we have in our high school and our stadium and, just in our facilities in general.
Yeah, Coach, that kind of leads me into my final question. Us big city folk, a new stadium for a high school or whatever doesn't mean that much. But when you get into a community like Columbia City where the entire town comes out for big games and the pride, you mentioned the pride in a school, pride in the facilities and being able to bring everybody together, especially a time like this where this country is so divisive, to have something like this to really be prideful in and everybody can agree on one thing, that it's awesome and it's great to have. That's got to feel good, particularly in the year 2020.
Yeah, and like you said, you get a lot of areas that's divisive about it. I mean, you get areas, people that can't agree right now. You get families that can't agree right now with what's going on, and it's something that our community has been able to put behind and get behind and come out and support. Even to the fact that you got people sitting outside of the gates that can't get into the game, that just want to watch the game, that are watching it from the outside, and it's just it's a fun time to be around. And you're selling out of every amount of tickets that you have every single week, and it's annoying for me, but I mean the amount of emails that I get on a Friday saying, hey, do you have any extra tickets? It's like just leave me alone, but it's also at the same time like you're super proud as a coach from within this community and somebody that lives in this community that, hey, people just want to be a part of this. People want to be a part of it, and you see it like, I told you, hey, yeah, call me because I'm at the freshman game. I mean, we're sitting here and we've probably got more fans than a lot of the high schools are, allowed to have, for varsity games at our freshman game right now, because they want to be out here, they want to see this, and you have people that are stopping by, for our varsity and JV games that, hey, I just want to see the stadium for the first time, and we want to be out there, we want to have fun, we want to put, fun GIFs and stuff like that up on the video board that we have, and we want to run out of that brand new Eagle that our whole community raised money for, for us to be a part of that. And, it's something that we've been trying to build for a while. And I think that it's not just a collective opening the new building, but it's something that we've been building our football program towards too. This being my 7th year, and, the junior class is the first one that I've had from youth league on. And so I think just this change in culture is something that I grew up in the middle of, when I was at Eastbrook, and you covered us. I mean, you were covering us for the Chronicle, comical or Chronicle Tribune, whatever you want to call it. And so you understand, better than anybody else, the things that I'm copying from a great coach that led a great program. And I'm just proud that we're seeing some of the benefits from it right now in Columbia City, and I hope that can continue to make this my home and continue to make it an awesome area, because it is. And I encourage anybody, like I said, get out here, see it. Enjoy it, and understand that it's not just the success that we're having in the football program, but you're seeing it in all the other pieces of our athletics as well, as we're opening up these new facilities.
A couple big home games coming up in a couple weeks. New Haven comes to Columbia City. Leo comes to Columbia City. But first, the Eagles got to deal with the Calb on the road tomorrow night. Coach, I appreciate it. Always a pleasure. Good luck tomorrow. I'll catch up to you.
Hey, great talking to you. Thank you for having me on, and look forward to having you out here plenty more times this year. All right.
All right, buddy. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
That was Coach Brett Fox of the Columbia City Eagles. His team 4-0 start. They go to DeKalb tomorrow night for Week 5. We're going to step out. When we come back, we'll keep it in the Northeast 8. Jared Sauder, Leo Lions join us after the commercial break. You're listening to the Week 5 edition of the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Here's the 1380 The Fan U.S. Open update being powered by Peter Franklin Jewelers.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 120th U.S. Open Golf Championship. Lee Westwood has the best resume of anyone who hasn't won a major title. 19 career top tens, but no victories. The Englishman in his first U.S. Open in 3 years, and there he is near the top of the leaderboard after 3 under 67, 2 back.
You get it in the fairway regularly around here, you can score well. With them being bowled greens, you can use them to your advantage. Obviously, as the golf course firms out and the pin positions obviously get tougher, then it won't yield as many low scores.
Yeah, this was the day to score at Winged Foot, no doubt. Justin Thomas certainly did. A 5 under 65, 1 shot better than Patrick Reed, Thomas Peters, and Matthew Wolff, all 4 under. Wolff is wrapping up, playing the 18th right now. Rory McIlroy and Louis Oosthuizen 3 under, along with Westwood. Tiger Woods 3 over. Phil Mickelson flames out 9 over 79, his worst score at the U.S. Open. I'm Ted.
This season, more than any other season, we're all reflecting on the wonder years of football. And in celebrating the heart of America's greatest sport, we've got a bold snack that'll help rekindle some really great memories. Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds have the big flavors you want, like Korean kimchi barbecue, pasilla chili cheese, spicy dill, and more. Eat them right out of the bag or try them in your favorite recipes. Pigskins and pigskins, they just go together.
Visit porkrinds.com today for your Southern Recipes small batch pork rinds.
What do you want a da-da-da? What do y'all want a da-da-da? I have no idea what a da-da-da. We could switch to Progressive da. Oh, yeah? We could switch to Progressive and sa. Okay. We could sa and have to buy some za. Oh, yeah. Let's switch to Progressive to da and get some za with the money we saw. Yeah. Now we know we're gonna da-da-da.
These days, nothing is normal and everything is weird. But you could still save big when you switch to Progressive. It might just be the most normal thing you da-da-da.
Quote the da at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Are you currently working with an insurance agent who represents a single company? If so, you're obviously limited to the products and rates that company has to offer. If I've just described your situation, you need to talk with the experts at Hoopy Insurance Services. Hoopy Insurance Services is an independent agency. That means they work with a number of top-notch companies so they can find you the very best coverage for your specific situation at the very best price. Insurance is important. You need a partner who understands the industry and the coverages that are available, and a partner who will be there when you need help. In Fort Wayne, that partner is locally owned Hoopy Insurance Services. They've been taking care of your friends and neighbors for decades, and they can do the same for you. So call today at 486-7488. That's 486-7488. Or check them out on the web at Hoopy, HUPE-insurance.com. Hoopy Insurance, their family serving your family for over 35 years.
So, you haven't made it to Blademan's Knife Shop at the shops of Scott Road yet, huh? That's okay. There's been a lot going on lately, but now's the time. It is the area's premier knife shop, carrying the best brands of knives like Microtech, Spyderco, Hogue, Medford, Emerson Knives, Zero Tolerance, and ProTech. You probably already knew that. But have you heard of some of the reviews coming out of Blademan's? People are saying Blademan's offers excellent service and a great selection, and that Mark is inviting and knowledgeable. Here's a cool piece of feedback from one customer who says, quote, couldn't recommend Blademan's highly enough. And another one says they'll be, quote, buying all their knives from Blademan's from now on. Join the list of growing customers that insist that the first time they shopped with Blademan's certainly will not be the last. Knives, tactical gear, apparel. The reviews, they're in. People are glad they found Blademan's Knife Shop. Now it's your turn. See you at Blademan's.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back for the final time here on the Week 5 edition of the High School Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny. He is John Graham. One of the bigger games coming up tomorrow night will be at Leo in the Northeast State, as the Leo Lions will host the East Noble Knights. And the head coach of the Leo Lions is Jared Sauder. He joins us right now on the line. Coach, how are you?
Good, Justin. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, Coach. And you sit 3-1 fresh off a win at New Haven last week in convincing fashion. Quickly take us through that game, particularly your defense that was really able to bottle up Jakar Williams in that offense.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Our defense played lights out that game, and it was really a testament to our kids and how they worked throughout the week. We knew that with Williams and that New Haven offense, we had to play assignment football, in both the run and pass game. And really our kids stepped up and just did an outstanding job of doing that and executing what we wanted to do on defense. So that really was a key to the game is how we played defense throughout the whole night. And, also, special teams made some huge plays, especially in the second half of that game. And so that was a key to our win as well.
Coach, I spoke to Luke Amstutz after last week's game for the East Noble Knights against Penn. And he said, you know what, we're going to win a game later in the season because of playing Penn. And I look at you guys stepping out and playing Mooresville in week 2 and what you learned from that game. Do you feel that is going to pay dividends down the road, maybe last week, maybe even this week, maybe even in the postseason?
Yeah, I do. I think it does. I think anytime you can play a quality team, a quality program like we did in Mooresville or East Noble did in Penn, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about your maybe some of your strengths and your weaknesses and things that you really have to work on and get better at. And, it challenges you and it challenges the kids. And so I definitely think it's something that helps you and you grow from it. And, like we say, even through a loss, you grow and get better and you see improvement the next week. And so I definitely think it was something that will help us.
Coach, when we looked in the preseason and said, wow, Leo's lost Peyton Wall, how are they possibly going to replace that production? Caden Miller has stepped in and done a pretty darn good job in a lot of different ways on that offense. What can you say about Caden stepping in?
Yeah, he's just done an outstanding job. With Caden, one of the things that it started in the weight room for him and what he put in terms of his off season. He's a kid who bought into the weight room. He's a 425 squatter. He works extremely hard. He's getting stronger every day, and so that's what really started with him. And then he's just a very skilled kid, very fast. He's a track guy, shifty. So we knew that Caden would be a help for us this year, but I think he's proven himself to kind of be beyond the expectations of a lot of people, and so we're super proud of his effort and what he's been able to do. But also, those guys up front for him as well. We've got 3 returners on that offensive line, and they're just doing an outstanding job early this year as well.
One of those returners up front, Landon Livingston, who had an interception last week in that win at New Haven. Has he been pushing for any reps at wide receiver heading into this big game tomorrow night?
Yeah, we told him right after that interception, don't have any grand plans of where you're playing. You're a guard, you're going to stay there. So no, he didn't, but that was a great play on his part. He's a kid who's always moving, always hustling on the field, and was at the right place and just made a great play there.
All right, Coach, a big one coming up tomorrow night with East Noble coming to town. What have you guys seen out of the Knights? What do you need to be prepared for? A team that you played twice last year, lost twice, but that postseason game pretty darn close.
Yeah, Coach Amstutz does a great job and always has his team ready to play. And so one thing you're always going to have to do with East Noble is you're going to have to be ready to play a physical ball game. And, their offense is awfully tough, and they do a great job with their quarterback read game. And so just kind of like last week, we're going to have to be on our assignments defensively and make sure we execute what we do. And because if you don't, they're going to hurt you. And so that's a big part of what we know we have to do to stop them offensively. And then it's just we told our kids it's always a battle up front. They're physical, they're big, and so that's a big part of this as well. And they have athletes on the field. And kids like the Munson kid and 2 great inside linebackers in Van Gorder and Shupak. So, those guys are all guys that play on that state runner-up team last year and guys that could hurt you if you don't account for them.
All right, Coach. Hey, appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. Good luck tomorrow night.
All right, thank you.
That was Coach Jared Sauder, Leo Lions, joining us, taking it right up to 7 o'clock, John. We got to get out of here. Thanks to Brice Vance. Thanks to Tim Mannigel, Concordia Cadets, Brett Fox of the Columbia City Eagles, Jared Sauder, Leo Lions. That's going to do it for us. Enjoy Week 5, everyone. We'll be back for the Week 6 show next Thursday, 6 o'clock. He's John Graham. I'm Justin Kenny. This has been the Week 5 edition of the High School Coaches Show, 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Podcasts by Federated Media. Podcasts by Federated Media.